How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another Monday live stream. My name is Guillaume, and hold on, something is missing. Something is not right here. It's not usually like this, right? I got it. Hi everybody, my name is Guillaume, and today we're going to check out the Midas Pro1. If you don't know me, by the way, hi. I'm a live sound engineer that talk about pretty much anything that has to do with live sound or thing in general that I can put my hands on that I believe will be interesting for you to watch. And if you just give me a second here, I need to shut down my phone for a second. There we go. Let's go on for a live stream. How you guys doing? Are we live? Anybody here? Hold on. Fred. Patrick. Hi, everybody. It's good. Is it working good? Is it I changed my setup, basically. So, guys, let me know if it's good for you, if you hear me well, because I changed my stuff from the usual. So, let me know if it's working fine. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a confirmation that everything's good, please. Am I lagging? It's good. Fred, thank you very much. Good. So, hi. Welcome to this first ever live stream with a Pro 1. I'm now a proud, and I would say proud, owner of not one, not two, but currently 3 Midas Pro 1. The idea is a couple of them's going to go on a tour, and basically I'm going to keep one that I can move around for a show like this. More on that later. More stuff coming up. More change is coming up for the near future. But now, today we're going to talk about the Pro 1. We're going to talk especially about the one that I have right here. This is a fairly used, well, in the sense of it's been used, it has some show on it, Midas Pro 1 that was made a couple of years ago. It's one of the latest production. Apparently, if they have the black knobs here, they are the latest version. The first, the V1 had some white plastic around the cover here. This is distinctive sign of different kind of Midas. But yeah. Console that I love, console that is easy to use, especially, I want to talk about that more seriously today. A lot of people, hold on. Okay, good. Something, when you have a mustache, stuff always ends up in there, right, guys? Something I want to talk about especially is Midas console are not difficult. Hear me out. There is somebody who wrote I believe in Spanish, comment here. I'm sorry, I do not speak Spanish. I speak French and English. If you can translate that into any of these two languages, I'll do my best to answer your question. Please, if you can do so. Okay, now, back to what I was saying. The Midas console are not that difficult. A lot of people seem to struggle back in the day with them. They are still to this day really good sounding console compared to anything that is out on the market. They are a fair fight against your Digico, your LNE stuff, even the Ion stuff, and they can be, you can put your hands on them for fairly cheap. Really cool console, honestly. A lot of feature for back in the day. We have to think about something here. We're going to time travel a little bit together. This console was released 12 years ago, if not more. If anybody in the chat can confirm me that information, at least 2012. And we're in 2024, so it's been 12 years. The amount of feature that were on digital disc 12 years ago versus the amount of feature that are on digital disc now is fairly different. This is, by today's standard, a simple console. This is a console that is basically the same thing as an analog with an effect rack. This is what the mindset of the Midas Pro series is. You have your channel strip, you have one insert, one. Actually, let's take a look at this. Hold on. Let me change my scene here. I have a screen cap of the Midas Pro1. You can see my little mice over there moving around. I show you the bread and butter of the Midas first, but let's go back to where I was saying. Let's use a input here. Welcome to the overview of the Midas. By the way, your screen is a little distorted. The conversion ratio out of that screen is not the same as I have in front of me. Mine is more square, where yours is like a little more squished down. This is what we'll have to live with for today, at least. Let's go to the overview page of a microphone channel. Just to give you an idea, if it's your first time looking at a Pro 1, the left side of the screen that we see now is console overview. You got to see all your channel in and output. Output in the top, input in the bottom, and we're using a scroll wheel. If you see me in the bottom here, we're using a scroll wheel to navigate through the console. On the right side, where my head is at right now, let me turn my head off for a second. On the right side, we have, if you can see my mouse here, we have the overview of the channel, which will give you the overview of the compressor, EQ, gate, aux, microphone preamp, channel save, and direct out, because this console has real direct out. Not only, you know who you are, Mr. Babazi, wishing for direct out. And this is the overall view of the console. After that, we have the config menu. Let's go take a look at all the menu. You have your gain swap, which is a really cool feature that allow you to switch between your physical preamp and trim. If you want to crank out your gain and really get going there almost in the red and bring it back to a workable level, you can use the gain swap. You have direct output with a level, so you have the option to choose the amount of that you're sending out to a direct output. It's a physical direct output. Your channel safe, which is not the way that I would use channel safe on this console, but that's a subject for later. We have our filters, low cut and high cut with 2 parameter plus a cut of 12 and a cut of 24 for the low, and a cut of 6 or 12 for the high end. You activate them here and here if you make it high enough, so you can see in the EQ in the bottom here, you have that little EQ, you have delay on channel, and you have your stage box. Stage box is basically where it's your microphone preamp. On this one right here, it's not a stage box. I'm using the physical input in the back. There is 24 physical preamp in the back of this console here. So once we go in the patch, we'll show you guys, but for now, just know that this is available on the overview. After that, we have an insert. Insert are coming from the effects rack. Effects rack, we're going to check that out later. After that, we have compressor. If you know your way around the Pro 2, you know this is not the basic compressor. The basic compressor that everybody is getting at first is this one right here. It's a full feature compressor, but we have a couple of those. We have the corrective, we have the adaptive, we have the creative, which is looking something like, look at the color of these. They're probably going to remind you of some units that you used to see in rack. You have the vintage, Rev. I think this one is the Neve. If you guys know any answer to that, it's been a while since I've been around these physical compressor. I don't really remember. I believe this is just a Midas basic default. It's not copied from anything. It's the Midas design. After that, I believe the adaptive is to represent a drummer. I don't remember. Is it the drummer, drop? You guys know what I'm talking about. I'm just confused with the name of the wing right now. And we have the creative. I believe this used to be a Yamaha preamp, or I could be wrong. If you guys have any idea in the chat for this. And the vintage compressor, totally blank for me. It's been too long since I remember these, and I believe this is the Focusrite bass compressor. Guys, let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat if you know anything about these compressor, but you know you have all these options available. After that, we have a gate. The gate block is, I'm going to call it the gate block because I'm so used to work on the wing. The gate block has a couple different modes. We have the ducker. Actually, by default, is the regular gate, transient gate, and we have a ducker. After that, the fun part is the EQ. We have a 4 full parametric. You decide if you have shelf in the top and the bottom with different kind of EQ curve, and same thing for the higher one, but it's a full-on 4 parametric. Actually, they are not full parametric. They are gain, frequency, and width, but the frequency that they can operate differs from one to another. The base one can operate, if you allow me to turn that on. The base one operate from 16 Hertz all the way to 400. The low mid goes to 80s to 2K. High mid goes 300 to 8K. And after that, the higher ones go to 1K. The treble one goes to 1K to 25K. So those of you who likes to do the same thing that we used to do on 737 from Avalon, boosting the high frequencies with a shelf, you can do this on your Pro series. Really cool console for that. After that, we have the aux in. Nothing to write home about here. It's just a on, pre, or post option with the amount that you can send. On the Pro series, on the Pro 1, you have to do it by in or by fader flip. You don't have any physical button on the console to manipulate that level, but it's working fine doing send on faders. After that, the last 3 menus are going to go quickly. We have aux from 9 to 16, matrix from 1 to 8, and every single channel can be sent into an aux and a matrix, pre or post fader, and you can decide that per channel. So you can do 16. Is it 16? No, it's 12. You can do 12 stereo in-ear mixes on these easily. Am I counting right? 1, 8, 16, so that's 8 stereo plus 4. Yes, that's good. After that, we have the fader section. The fader section is where you're going to find your stereo, your mono, the amount of signal that you're sending into your mono send. So if you guys have a mono that you want to use for your subs, you can decide of doing this here. And you have your mute for master, mute and B. B is for when you have a master letter A and B. You can have 2 main outs, and this one's going to be post fader as well, but you can have that happening. Or is it the solo B? Hold on. Am I No, it's the solo B. Sorry, my bad. This is not the case on that one. You have solo A and B. Solo could be A, and when you select it, it's going to go out of solo A or B. The reason you want to do that, and let me get back to myself here. Oh, come on. Okay, I missed the wing already. I wish I could have more feature here. There you go. Am I seeing myself? No, I don't see myself. Hold on, guys. Let's just go to that view then. I wish I could have the MIDI control of the wing to operate all my stuff away from my screen. Missing the wing, yes, Patrick. It's now time to laugh at me. But other than that, not much has changed. Not in the term of console. On the console side, of course, automation and control, remote control has changed a lot. since the early days of digital console. Because keep in mind, this console that we're watching now is 12 years old, or not this one, but the design, the overall thinking of the software. So by today's standards, it's stripped down. Not a bad thing, depend on what kind of stuff you're doing. I spoke about that in my vlog or on the last stream, where the Pro Series are really good for rock and roll band. Nothing wrong doing a rock and roll band with a Pro 1. The only difference from a modern console is the amount of feature or extra feature that you can integrate to your console. Pro Series, you don't have any expansion card. You cannot really run Dante out of these console. You cannot really run Wave plugin. Well, actually you could, but you need to buy a unit that costs pretty much as a console now. For the price that you can get a Pro 1 too. The Pro 1 used is probably selling around the same price as a Wing right now, or a Midas M32, in that range depending on the condition and where it's located. But yeah, sound quality that you're getting for that price is where the difference is going to be. Let me clearly say that out. If you're doing a rock band and you don't need autotune and you don't need weirdo plugins other than compression, gate, and when it comes to effects, your basic reverb and delay. If you can stand in those lines of doing a band or working your act with that, which is probably the case for most scenario, on a Pro 1, you can do 40 plus 8, so 40 plus your return, your aux return. You can do 40 plus 8 channel, and you can do up to 24 floor monitor or 12 stereo in-ear mixes, or any combination of mono or stereo aux, and you have full flexibility over these. So if you can stand within those lines, and honestly most rock band you can nowadays, you don't need to auto-tune everything. Of course it's a wonderful addition if you want to do that, but you don't have to. Really interesting question, Rob. I'm gonna get back to this. Well, actually, no. Let's answer that. Really interesting question, saying, can you use the Pro 1 as a stage box for the 32 in the Wing? The short answer is no. It's full-on AS50. With the new or newly released product, especially the Hub 4, and I need to look into this, but the Hub 4 has a conversion unit from 96 to, as a built-in converter that goes from 96 all the way down to 48K. Because Pro Series, Pro 1, like all the Pro Series, can only be clocked at 96K. If you have a converter, and they do exist. If you have a converter, you can convert to 48K. If you can convert to 48K, yes, you got 24 preamp in the back of the console, and you can use that as your monitor console on stage. Just patch anything into the back and send that out to your front of house X32. Oh, come on, Rob. You know better. I'm sure you know that it's different world. And especially back in the day when these things got released, X32 were non-existent. They were still in design. If you guys saw the early drawing of that, that's pretty much where they were, design-wise, for the X32. It's not a bad thing. I mean, I get it, why marketing-wise they are doing this. But along the line came a couple of units and came a couple of workaround. One of the workaround to use a Pro 1 and a X32, M32 Wing DP48 altogether is to use stage box. and not all the stage boxes are created equal. I'm talking about especially the DL231. The DL231, which is the stage box that I bought with my last two wings, my last two Pro1, they have one XLR input that goes into two physical preamp on the PC board itself, meaning you can get away with using one console at 96 and one console at 48K. I've done it before where I was doing monitor with a Pro 2 on a tour, but we're using DL231s. I was using the DL231s under my console, and out at front of house, I was sending two lines of 24 from the DL231. I'm gonna try not to say DL251 here. I was sending out the signal all the way to the front of house where he was using an M32. It can be done. It's a matter of patching. It's a matter of having the right tool. The beauty of the Pro1 is it's analog, pretty much, when it comes to I/O. You have 24 input in the back, 24 output in the back. Pair it with a DL231. You just need one DL231. And you have 24 input locally and 24 input that can be split. Most of the time, I don't mind doing gain sharing as long as I'm in charge of the gain. But seriously, you can take a console like this and split the signal almost indefinitely by daisy chaining console one to another. By the way, on 96K console, you need a single line of AES50 424 channel. So if you have 48, you need two. If you have, multiple 24. If you don't mind, you can use one Pro1 as your monitor console, send a single cable to the front, use another Pro1, use another Pro Series, and you can have a show there. If you want to split, if you want to have different clock, you just need to get the stage box. Of course, it's going to be more expensive. Hear me out. I'm not going to try to fool anyone here. It's going to be more expensive. But the price that I've paid for this device, it's kind of worth it. It's a really good product especially in buying used, and especially in the condition that I have this console. Seriously, it's in pristine condition. The only thing that is wrong with this console especially is on the top here, it has a little scratch. I don't mind. I seriously don't mind. One thing that it can be improved on the console that is physically bugging me, the fan noise. And I'm probably going to try to remedy that and get some Noctua fan in here, because maybe in the future I'm going to end up with these console in the studio, and I would love to have these console as a studio centerpiece. They sound amazing. 24 input in the back is more than enough to record any band. We'll see what's going to happen with that. And I'm not talking about any band at the same time. I'm talking about like recording at drums 24 input at a time, and you can probably do it on 20 and record bass and guitar at the same time, and probably just a scratch track of vocal that can be done. Or you can definitely do a band with 24 input. You can just buy a DN2. No, it's not a DN2. It's a DN Clark Technic DN9630, I believe, is the USB one. You can buy that and run 24 channel in and out of your console. If you need more than that, you could buy $2 and do a aggregated device inside your computer, and you can record up to as many ports as your computer can handle of AES50. Those bucks are fairly inexpensive, a couple $100, and you're going to be good for life with these. They are compatible with any AES50 device at either 86 or 96 or 48K. Numbers. Running ads for a second. Thank you very much, Patrick, for letting me know. Yeah. Really cool console. Where people struggle with the Pro1 and this is where I want to end up, is when you start that thing up, there is nothing done to it. The console is not assigned. The console has almost nothing done to it. It's basically, those of you guys who did work with analog console are going to remember this. It's basically if you took an XL4, because the preamp in the back are the preamp of the XL4. It's basically the same thing as taking a huge analog console and having it fully reset. Let me take you to a trip where we're gonna assign everything on a channel strip, and we're gonna build ourselves a console the way that we want to use it. I'm not gonna switch to the other screen yet. Okay, I'm gonna answer Rob's question first. What can the Pro1 do that the Wing can't? 96K. I'm gonna let that one sink in. And something else that we talk about. Hold on, let me go into the right menu and switch my screen. Something that the Pro Series is doing that the Wing is not. And I'm gonna try to bring up my little pretty face here again. There we go. I got it. We can hear the difference between 96K and 48K. Probably no one in the crowd. Maybe some engineer, maybe some of you guys doing A/B tests will hear the difference. Of course, I said this as a joke. Hear me out. But there is one thing that you can hear and the Pro1 does that the Wing doesn't. And it's all that, right there. All that stuff right there. All that stuff right there. Delay compensation. I don't know if you guys understand how big of a deal that is. Delay compensation is why at the end of the day, or at your summing bus, your main out, your master, your matrix, however you end up just taking all your channel and bringing them back together, delay compensation is the key why your stuff is sounding good by itself and not to really, or not as good in a mix together. I spoke about this before. Delay compensation is avoiding basically phasing. When you have multiple source coming from a drum, you know, having that microphone, that lead vocal microphone picking up on drums and picking up on pretty much everything other than the vocalist, it's going to create some phasing. It's going to have some delay happening, you know, time, the sound traveling in the air. That's physic. A snare hit, leaving the snare, it's going to be picked up by the snare mic. Let's say this is my snare mic. It's going to be picked up by the snare mic now, or a few inches in the air. I don't know how much microsecond or sample that could be. It's going to travel into the air at 1.1 milliseconds per foot, I believe. And once it reaches to the lead vocalist, if you don't delay that lead vocalist, you're going to create some phasing because it will be out of phase. A little bit. Make that time 40 channel and add to this some micro sampling difference. Every time that you add a plugin, or every time that you turn on an EQ, turn on a compressor, turn on a gate, turn on a 31 band EQ, insert, name it. Did I say insert twice? Doesn't matter. Every time that you're adding something to the signal chain, you're going to create some latency because the computer inside of this needs some processing time. This is not true in the analog world. If we're talking about true analog world, if we're not talking about digital stuff that you used to plug in, but if we talk about a physical mic preamp with an EQ on it, if you're talking about a physical EQ, compressor, and gate, maybe some of them's gonna add up latency, not by traveling through it, but having some digital conversion or not. But if you don't have any kind of conversion, if you don't have anything, correct me if I'm wrong, but I strongly believe that the analog signal do travel at the speed of light, or as fast as we can observe it, and it's almost instantaneous going through all that stuff. It doesn't create any latency. The summing bus on analog console do not create any latency. The sound is traveling from, and I'm going all the way up at the preamp, if you guys remember, all the way into the EQ, the low cut, the aux, and if you have an insert point somewhere in there, into your fader. And once you raise that fader, it was going into the main bus, and it was just electrically summed together. There were no conversion, there were no processing latency added, there were no oversampling added to that, and there were no combining all those digital signal in sync together. That's what the Pro1 is doing. It's taking all your channel, it's calculating all the latency that you apply to all the channel. It's going to take the longer one. Let's say that you have here a vocal where you have, let's go crazy about it. You have a compressor, you have a gate, you have some inserts. There was nothing in there, so this is why the insert is not turning on. But basically, you just turn on everything here. You do some crazy EQ stuff. You know, you're adding processing, because the console has to calculate all that processing here. Don't forget about that. Yeah, that's a good looking EQ. And you're gonna add some crazy compression to this. Crazy compression. And crazy gating. There we go. The gate is working almost all the time. For those operations to calculate, the computer has to work. It has to work the processing of all these units, and it has to spit out a in phase or bit coherent signal. The Pro1 is going to take, or the Pro Series is going to take, the channel that has the most processing, and that processing can probably add up to multiple sample, maybe even milliseconds of latency or processing times. I know on the wing we have parametric EQ. They are, I believe, 32 sample that they add of latency, so they can create some phasing, and all that add ups. If you add up all the channel and do not compensate for that latency, meaning that if you're not taking the channel that has the most processing on it, that requires the most processing time, and if you don't delay accordingly all the other channel, you're going to create some phasing issue. Let me rephrase that maybe. The console is going to take the channel that has the most processing. Let's say I'm going to give it a random number, 32 sample of latency, which is not true. I believe it will be way more than that. If you have a channel at 32 and all your other channel are less processed and only require 16 sample of turnaround time of taking the analog signal, convert it, process it to all the stuff that you did to it, and send it to the main out, the Pro 2 is gonna buffer that. It's gonna take the channel that has the most processing time, 32 sample, and it's gonna delay all the other channel by the processing time that they have, plus the remaining time of the channel that has the longest processing time. So all your channel is going to end up with 32 sample of latency. artificial latency or delay, and the other one is going to be the physical. So it's going to delay to compensate for all the other channel, and the result is everything in your console will be in phase at the main out. This is the secret of Midas. This is the secret of why these console, the Pro Series, the HD, all have good sound, because they do not create microphasing in between all your inputs. And if you have phasing, I know this is true on Yamaha. I know I'm bringing back that example of LS9 and M7CL a lot. They were not doing that. So when you had sound coming not in phase, and we're talking about sample level and bit, because if you look at a wave out of a console, it's all square. All those bits are designing the wave that we see. If you zoom in really, really far in your DAW, you're gonna see that all those little block there. If you have sound coming from your channel that is not in phase at your main out, the console is gonna do its best to make it fit in the combination of all those signal and send it back out. But if you have bits that are not aligned on the clock, it will drop a few information. It will drop the less significant bit of your signal. The other codecs, or another thing that is doing that, is when you take a song from a really high simple rate and convert it down to a 16-bit MP3. So this is why M7CL and LS9 sound just fine with just one microphone going through it, maybe two. But once you load a M7CL with 56 input, because they are 48 plus the stereos, and I've done that before where I've used all the physical input of an M7CL, and you apply processing to it, and you apply EQ, and you insert EQ rack, and it sounds not as good as the source, because once all that processing is happening almost in real time, the console try to go as fast, because you cannot have latency live, you could have latency, but you cannot really go over 4, maybe 5 milliseconds of latency. To compensate for that, the console is gonna go like, okay, I don't need that information, I don't need that information, I don't need that information, here's your result. And it's just go as fast as it can, just spitting out information. And the result is it's gonna drop some information there, and it's gonna sound like garbage. So this is the reason why the Pro 1 is, I don't want to say better, is tricking you less than other console, or most console that do not have delay compensation. I believe Midas is not the only one that has that delay compensation, but this is my understanding that the Pro 1 is doing this, and this is something that the Wing cannot do. Sorry guys, I didn't read the chat much today. We're gonna remediate to that. I'm gonna go back and see what's going on here. I feel like I'm missing you guys. I'm missing you a lot. Can you hear the difference? Yeah, we spoke about that. I was more thinking of operator type. Yes. But on the Wing and M32, the pathway between the input and output is phase coherent. Yes, but it doesn't care for other input, I believe, Rob. It doesn't take into consideration the delay compensation and phase coherent is two different things. Phase coherent meaning that the phase coming in will be the phase coming out, is my understanding, and delay compensation will be all the channel processing time will not change the phase, or will not creating some phasing issue between all the channel and the main out. Because when you have at the summing bus, this is where the magic happen on the Pro 1. unless you insert an FX track. Yes, of course, that will add up some latency. I think the need for delay compensation is a must on the Pro series because the processing is probably much slower than what the newer console like the Wing is. It's probably slower. I'm just going to read Rolf here before I dive into this. I have measured all the insert effect on the Wing, and the majority of it have latency of 32 sample. So with a bit of compilation, the Wing can be set up, be synchronized. Yes, that would be true, but it's more than just inserts. It's the EQ. It's the type of EQ you're doing. So processing of channel, processing of other stuff will change that 1 or 2 milliseconds of latency. The amount of EQ, if you're doing some really heavy EQing, it's going to change the amount of overall latency on the channel. Of course, if you add an effect, and I believe, if I remember correctly, that the 32 sample is a design. Not all the effects are taking 32 samples, but I believe they added some delays to them just so everyone is using 32 sample. Robert, no, the phase coherence between all the channels that come from the same I/O device. I believe. I don't want to argue with you, Rob, because you probably experience more than I do about that, but I believe that was not true. The information that I had, I could be wrong. The information that I had was that the Wing and the X32 do not apply the same delay compensation that the Pro series does. Maybe I'm mixing up a couple things here, but I believe everything that I just said was right. And I'm really open to hearing some other stuff about it, because this is my understanding of the delay compensation for the console, and the phase coherent thing will be only true if you do not apply any processing on it. Because of course, if you just raise up the fader, there is no correction of the signal, and it would not creating some phasing, because you need to have processing to create phasing, or you need to create processing delay. We can talk offline about it. Sure, we will talk about that later on. I'm really curious to hear you about that. It's been a while since we had a phone call, so I know someone made a test calculation of the impact of AQ being on or off on the actual processing time for the Wing channel, and I don't recall if there was a delay or not. If I understand correctly, and maybe Rob can tell me I'm wrong, but if I understand correctly, it will increase by the amount of processing that you're doing on the channel. It will not just turning it on or off. Maybe it's going to add 1 or 2 sample of delay, but maybe not. But if you're over EQing, if you're over correcting and you add some processing to it, it may differ in latency, is my understanding of that. But we're not here to talk about that today, because as much as I love to hear about that stuff, it's not going to affect the way that I'm mixing. So basically the tools are designed, they are built. It's the way that we're going to use them that will make the difference. It's not all the processing block use fixed latency even if disabled. Okay, good to know. Oh, this is why it's going to be phase coherent, because it's probably checking out that. Okay, I got you, Rob. We're going to talk about that later if possible. But for today, This is not what we're here. I didn't think we would dive so far into this. I was not expecting doing a few minutes about that. But let's now dive into the wonderful sounding console, because arguably, I personally believe that the Pro 1 is one of the best sounding console out there. XL4 preamp, really cool processing on every single channel. Seriously, I don't say that because I bought one. Well, actually, I believe so much in what I said, this is why I bought one. Or 3. Because now I have 3. What do you want me to say? Okay, now let's answer the question that a lot of people having a trouble with. Sorry. How easy is it to configure a console, Pro 1 or Pro Series, from scratch? Apparently, these consoles are really, really hard to use. Apparently, they are a nightmare to work on. Let me show you, if you never put your hand on... Okay, quick question from Dante Dream, really quick. What's the deal with Pro 1 and all the talk on everything? On all the channel is you can have your talkback being placed into those channel. I'm gonna hold on. Oh, it's because I'm using it somewhere else. Okay, I will get back to this. I'm doing another trick. Actually, let me show you what I'm doing to talk to you guys. It has to do with the talkback, and just before I dive into the Pro 1 setup, which is really easy, I'm gonna show you some really cool feature from the Pro series that were added to the wing. They kept following along. Let me select my main out, and I'm gonna show you guys something really, really cool. If you go in the config tab, can you see what I'm talking about? I set up as a direct input to my main out, to my bus, to my main bus, my talkback microphone. It's physically connected on the talkback in the top of the console, on the top of the surface. There's a physical preamp for that, and I can just send it to wherever I want, because if you go in the patch, you can take any input from the surface over there and assign it anywhere over there. That's the stuff that people were not getting 12 years ago. The routing. Nowadays, every console that I know of, every console that has been released is working like this. I don't get why people are so confused about this anymore. There we go. Single one, just a single one. Yeah, that's the thing. People were not getting it 12 years ago that when you select a channel, there was nothing into it. Nowadays, every console, every professional console that I know of is a blank canvas. You can do whatever you want with it. Thanks to, again, the light console. We're following that trend because, back in the day, light console created or made moving fader so they can do layers. And after that, they decided that light doesn't have to be one-to-one. You can do whatever you want at the patch. And we're just following along. So that one goes out to my light friends. But that's the thing. Nowadays, with the stuff that we now know and is now common, the Pro 1 is not a difficult console by any means. It's actually one of the most versatile console if you're thinking about when it was released. Let's go do what I wanted to do. I'm taking a microphone input, And I'm gonna take my face off for a second. I'm taking a microphone input, and I'm going to do it on the screen, but it can be done on the physical interface next to it. Next to the screen, on the right of the screen, you have all the knobs. And I'm sorry, I'm not using my top camera today. I'm using my that cable to run the screen output, which I believe is way better for you guys to see. But we're going to do it by hand. By default, nothing is enabled. Compressor, nothing. Gate, nothing. EQ, it's off. It's not even on. Same for the aux. They are by default post fader off. And by default, your channel is not going to the main out. So we're going to build a channel together. We're going to build what we want as a preset for a channel. And we're going to slowly work our way up to the other stuff, and I'm going to show you guys how to do it really quickly. It will be even faster if you do it on the interface, but you would not see, so I'm going to do it here by hand. Let's go from the top. Config. What do we want to have? This we can leave unassigned. We can have a low cut on. By default, we can just have it on. 24 or 12, it's really up to you. I prefer 12, and I got to punch that in. So we're going to have a low cut at, I believe 10 Hertz is going to be the lowest one. 10 Hertz, great. That's a starting point. Remember that this is a starting point. Actually, if this was a starting point for all my channel, I would probably put it somewhere around 85, 87. Starting point. Insert, I'm going to leave that empty. Compressor, well, I like that one, but my usual setup is running the threshold at around 0 dB. Ratio, I prefer 2:1. Makeup, we're going to leave that at 0. 3 millisecond is a little short. Release time, 250. Presence, we're going to leave that off for now. Okay, knee. Do we have an option? Yeah, I prefer soft knee. There we go. This is going to be really, really smooth. Gate. What I like to do with the gate is raising up a little bit. Range, we're going to leave it to 100. That's really, really quick. Maybe we would go 1 millisecond. It should be enough. Release around, I don't know, 175-ish. Old, yeah, it doesn't really matter. Threshold, okay, let's say just for fun, we're going to take it like that. We're going to leave the threshold at -50. EQ, we want to turn that on. And that's about it for now. We're going to leave everything else as default. We want the full 4 parametric. The aux, we're going to do on and pre on all of them. And of course, we're going to leave them as they are for level. We're going to keep that close. And we're going to do the same thing for 1 through 16. From 9 through 16, should I say? Right here, right here, right here, right here, right here, and right here. And our matrices, we're going to leave them blank. Because on most channel, we're not going to use them. Or maybe we can turn them on, but keep them post fader. Because usually, and that's a little trick that I do, I'm keeping my aux for my in-ears or monitor, and I'm just using the matrix for the effects, but I'm going to show you guys that after. Okay, we're going to set the level to mono to 0 here, or actually if I do it this way, you guys can see the number, but we're going to leave it off. I can turn it on here with the physical knob, but we're just going to leave it off for now. Pan is going to be center, and we want to make sure that we hold on. No. Cancel. We're going to make sure that we have this here. Oh, hi there. You acting on me? Okay, I was hitting the knob. My bad. I was hitting the store button. So that's it. This is how I want all my channel to be set up at. This is basically what I'm doing. Oh, I forgot to turn on the compressor. And that's about it. I don't want to do any stereo linking, or don't want to do any phasing here. This is how I want my channel to be. What I'm going to do is go into overview. I'm going to go copy, and I'm going to go here on paste, but I want to go on that little arrow here. I'm going to go right click. Oh, it doesn't matter. No, it doesn't. Okay. I'm going to go paste to all. This will paste the copied section across the whole console, and this is not undoable. Are you sure you want to do this? Yes, I'm sure I want to do this. Go. Okay. And now, all my channel on the console, it doesn't matter which one I select, is going to have the same setup. Honestly, there is one more step that you need to do, and you are ready to mix a show. You need to go in patching. The quick way to do this is go auto. If you have stage box on that console, they will show up there as long as you set them up in status. So let's go quickly over this. You go status light up here. This is where you tell the console how many device that you have. Let's say that in my port 1, I'm going to use a DL231, DL231A. It's right there. I'm going to use this. It could be a lot of things. I'm going to go input close. Let's say that I'm using a DL231. If I go back in my patching, oh, you see right there, I have a DL 351. Well, I wanted to do a 231. My bad. Let's go here. 231. Where are you? 231. 231. DL 231. There we go. Okay, so this is why I don't have any device option, because I have the wrong unit. There you go. Let's say that I have a DL231. Let's go back to patching. And if I wanted to patch that DL231, I can just go here, grab all my input, and go click on the first one here. Bam! I just patch all my stuff. If I want to use the local preamp, it's going to be the Surface IO. I can just go here, grab all my 24 input, and go into input 1. Bang! I just assign all my channel. You can see, you can see it. It's going to tell you what's in where. Input channel 24, input channel source 24, mic 24. 1-to-1 easy patch. It could be anything. I can grab any of the preamp and patch them wherever I want. And also, one more thing. We're gonna set up stuff for later on. I want to do my bus. Actually, you know what? Let's not do this. By default, the console has all the local input populated. But if I wanted to, I can take my main out. That is right here, and I can also grab all my left, right, and mono out and send it to 15 and 16 or 23, 24 of the DL231. Let's say that I want to do the last two, so it's going to be these right there. And the mono is there. I forgot the mono. I want my mono in 22. There we go. Once I got that ready, or I can do the same thing from all my aux. Grab them. They are already assigned to the surface. They're not assigned to the surface, so my bad. So there you go. I'm going to connect that here. And I also want to put them as a copy right here. All my inputs and outputs are now assigned. All I needed to do is to go in my overall view, select the channel, and just do my thing. I can go here. That's another view, by the way, if you want to. If you press the console overview again, you have this menu here, which is giving you really cool information. But all I need to do is select my microphone preamp, turn the gain. I can do it from the mouse here, or I can do it from the physical knob on the console, and I'm ready to mix a band. I'm just, raising my fader, selecting my EQ, doing my thing here. I'm ready to do a show. It took literally from scratch less than 5 minutes, and it took me a long time because I was explaining it to you guys. Not that complicated, honestly. Of course, I know it. I know this console. I know how to run it. But it seemed to me like it's a fair workflow for 2024. I don't see any reason why this is complicated. Maybe because you don't have a lot of information on YouTube. I'm gonna try to remediate that. I'm gonna do my best to do some video on the Pro 1. But honestly, it's a workhorse. It's nothing complicated. 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes, 3 minutes, I can get you going from scratch. Because now we've done everything. I can just select the channel, EQ my thing. I can select another channel, do my EQ. I can go back to the overview. Okay. On the console itself, you don't see it from here, but you have the view button like you used to have on the X32. This is your typical situation. Let's go compressor. I'm going to press compressor here. The compressor is going to pop up. Here's my threshold. Oh no, it's not at 0. I have to recopy and paste all that stuff. No. But yeah, fairly easy console to use. Nothing fancy. Actually, there's not like on the Wing, there is no like 5-layer of stuff that you can add on. Fairly simple console to use. Because right now you're mixing. If you want to do monitor, you can, I believe, can you just come here? Yeah. You can just use your mouse and raise up volume in a monitor. Let's say that you want to do some stereo aux. It's been a while, but I'm going to try to show you guys how to do some stereo aux. If I go here, I select on the console itself, I have my aux section, pretty much like you would see on the Wing or M32R. I'm selecting my aux button for aux 1, and I'm going to go aux ear. Is that my aux input or my aux output? I just want to make sure it's my aux. I can see it on the top all the way there. This is my aux send. So if I want to turn that aux into stereo to do in-ear, I'm just going to go here, click link, and it's going to link my two. You can see it on the top left. It's going to link my two stereo aux together. If I go back and select my channel, we were on channel 1, channel 2. Doesn't matter. Select channel 1. Now we have the pan on top, and after that we have the amount of send. You can manipulate the pan with your trackball. It's almost-ish as easy as the Wing. Once you know your way around it a little bit, it's not a complicated console by 2024 standard. That's the message I want to say. Okay, what's going on? Hey, Michael, it's been a while. Oh, Patrick, what did you do, Patrick? Thanks to Patrick and you for your help last week with the Wing Dante. Oh, good. If Patrick helped you out too, I'm pretty sure you got it worked out. Didn't take our scenes that were in some separate mode, which only found after your tip digging to the unofficial SARM. Oh, okay. So the internal Dante card. Okay. The Dante feature is great because you can record on the Dante card and say Logic simulates the using 64 channel. Yes, that's true. The Dante card on the Wing open up many channel. Maximilien, hold on. A question in French. We don't do that often here. Let's go. Actually, by the way, those of you who are watching, next week, I'm going to announce it now. Next week, I'm going to do one on the Wing, and it's going to be in French. I want to do that. I'm going to do a short English one. I'm going to do maybe like half an hour, and then we're going to switch to French. So the first, I don't want to say half because we may go a little longer. But the first that we're going to do is going to be English, like we're doing, and after that we're going to do in French. On va faire ça en français. Okay, Maximilien, question in French. If you guys don't mind, let me answer that in French and read that in French. It's been a while. I don't usually do French on a channel, but I'm open to try it out. Est-ce qu'il y a équivalent sur la Pro 1 d'un Python, un Québécois, parfait. Options comme sur les Digico qui permet justement de faire des manipulations rapides sur plusieurs channels en même temps. Let me translate that. Is there a knob equivalent on the Pro 1 that will allow you to do multiple actions at the same time quickly? Non. Malheureusement, Maximilien, non. La réponse c'est non, on ne peut pas faire ça. Il n'y a pas de grouping. There is no grouping on the Pro Series. There is no grouping on the Wing. Those grouping option and macro option are not available, or not feature that are available on, I believe, the whole Music Tribe family of console. Pro Series. Pro 1. Maybe the HD96. Anybody know on the HD96 if you can do some grouping action? I believe on Sonicraft you can do that, right? Fred is using his Dante card to do 32 channel. The HD96 has macro. Like ganging, yes, ganging. It's coming on V2 firmware. Okay. The i96 does. Okay. Andy. Hey. Andy. So glad to see love for the Pro Series. Yeah. Honestly, they are a really good console by today's standard. They sonically, you take the same band that you're used to mix and you mix it on a Pro Series. If you compare that to any other cheaper console that is available on the market, and it's going to compete with that. It's still, sonically, it's still a contender. And I'm willing to argue with anybody about that. Change my mind. Tell me that this is not sounding good. Seriously. As a young dude who learned analog, I love the Pro Series. Yes, actually, I fell in love with Midas the day that I first mixed on a H3000. H3000. I had that with a Vertec PA, the big 15-inch one, double 15, and a horn in the center. I had only four, not three, four. I had 4 Vertex per side, smaller festival, a stage line, a Vertec PA, H3000, a good old rack of analog gear, BSS compressor, 31 band EQs from Clark, I believe, the DP 402, the BSS one, the big one from BSS, and a couple of gates, and a bunch of SM57, and a bunch of, not 414 for mics, for overheads and stuff like that, but a bunch of cool mics. No ribbon, no nothing, but the stuff that you were finding around 2000 in any rental company. And I remember showing up the morning, the crew set up the system for me the whole night. It was my first time that I was only a sound engineer. I was 21, 22. Showed up, the guy who was in charge of Cloda Focus back in the day in Montreal, Mark, if you ever see that. Salut Marc, j'espère que ça va bien. He was so tired. He was burned out. He said, "You're doing the day, kid. Yeah, good. Have a good time." My only limitation was limited in terms of SPL. There was no way that I should have gone over 80 dB, which was fairly low, but still, I had the pleasure to do some really cool band and mixing some jazz band by myself. I welcomed some other engineer that day, but yeah, a really, really fun time mixing with the H3000 and a bunch of cool gear, because the Vertec in the day was a cool PA. By nowadays, though, you kids don't like them anymore, but the Vertec used to be a really good PA, and it's still to this day one of my favorite for rock and roll band. Actually, if you were to ask me if I want to do like an AC/DC tribute, I would love to have a Pro 1 or even an analog console, but with the rack. And nowadays the rack doesn't work properly anymore, or most of the stuff that are in the rack just are dying and they're not working properly. But if you give me a Pro Series console, Pro whatever, and a good old Vertec PA, I would have the time of my life doing a rock and roll tribute band, or even the real AC/DC for say. I would love that. I would love to do something like that still to this day. Because even if I had the pleasure to mix into the newer stuff like the K3 from L-Acoustics, that sound amazing. Actually, it's destabilizing how precise that PA is sounding. I remember when I did the Montreal Lasso Festival with a band, I show up with my wing, I did not use the DL251. I used the X32 rack for preamp because the band was doing his in-ear split. And I remember taking the main EQ and doing half of dB cut at 1K. And I heard it. Not the usual stuff that you hear in the PA. Well, 1K is really in the middle range, in the mid-range of the spectrum that we hear, but a half dB usually doesn't change much. And I cut it down a half dB and I heard it. It was so precise and so transparent that I almost forgot how to mix that day. It was rough because you hear every single subtle move that you're doing. Like more compression on the bass drum, yeah, you hear it. More compression on the back vocal, you hear it. Oh, man. Okay, sorry, Andy, I skipped your question. So glad to see some love for the Pro Series. Still run a lot. I love it. Use a lot of D-Live and Yamaha, but Midas Pro Series for me is the best workflow for music shows, especially. Yes, it's not the perfect console for every situation, and I'm really clear about that. If you want to do some rock and roll band, if you want to do like your typical drum bass keyboard bands with no fancy effect, those are the best console. Because other console will have other option, but if you don't need them, I mean, the SQ series is a fine console by any means, but actually it pisses me off really bad that you have to buy the plugin, because by default it doesn't come with a lot, where on the wing you have pretty much everything built in for no additional cost. But if you don't need that stuff, if you just need a gate and a compressor of every single channel, thank you, Patrick, for letting me know that we're running on ads. If you don't need anything special other than, compression, gate, couple reverb and delay, which is your typical situation. Let's say that if you were mixing a band on an X32, that's pretty much what you got anyway. If you can make it work with these tools, the container that delivered those tools, that's the one that I'm choosing. Still, I would like to, see how it compares to HD96. Of course, it has more bells and whistle, but if you don't need them, I mean, you don't need to upgrade from... It's a workhorse. Those consoles are working. They are stable. I've not heard much of stuff that is crashing, so... Merci beaucoup, Fred. Thank you very much for showing up, Fred. Always a pleasure to have you around. See you next week for the French one, right? Okay. What else? If you can't get a good mix on a Vertec rig, it's usually not the rig that is the problem. I must agree with you. Yeah, definitely. Vertec sound, of course, it has a tone. It's not as transparent as the newer stuff. It has a tone. It has a color. It's especially with the as much as the revision are going in the age of those PA, the horns are not as efficient as they probably used to. It's not my hearing that's going bad. They are probably going less and less and less definition. Most of those PA probably don't output much stuff over 15K. Not that I don't really hear much over 15K anymore, but I mean, if you want to be fussy about something, yeah. Love the H3000, also the console that I learned on. Most people my age, mid-20s, have most never touched analog gear outside of small 16-channel board. Yes, it's true. I'm one of the few guys, and I just turned 37, that knew that area. 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago when I started. No, actually, it's more than 20 years ago. I started mixing when I was 15 on a horrible LN&E GL 4000. But they were the standard. They were M7CL started showing up, and not much that was available in my area. I don't say that the PM1D and the PM5D were around, but this is not the kind of console that you used to see. I remember the first time that I deployed a PM1D system, and I didn't do that many times. I did like 3 times. We had a patch we need to run. I believe it was BNC cable. It was not network. We're talking about before AS50, before Ether Sound, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it was a bunch of BNC SDI cable that you were sending into the patch, and they were a nightmare. The local crew were like not having fun with these consoles because they were hard to know your way around. Back in the day, when the only thing that you work on was a Midas, where it was a complicated console that you needed to assign, your stuff to the main out or to groups. Yeah, digital was a new thing. But if you're lucky like me and you knew the analog days where 337 patch were everywhere, Veeam connector that you needed to plug into the rack, and it was not working properly, so you push on the connector and start to twist it more again, and now it clicks, and now all your inserts finally working, and you have probably bad cable in your rack, 12 pair of inserts, rack, and stuff for buzzing, and you were creating some ground loop everywhere. If you were not plugging the same outlets, and everything was like buzzing, you take the console out of the wall, you plug it into the firmament or in the front of the firmament of the same rack, and suddenly everything was a single path to ground and was working. I come from those days where I had my trusty soldering iron in my backpack, and I redid connector on gigs because I want that insert to work. So, it's broken. You open it up and go like, okay, if I just solder it back, hitting the gun, touching it, a minute and a half, it was good to go. I don't miss those days. Seriously. Being a guys to flip on a tilt rack, a H3000, it was fun, but I'm not 20 anymore. You're in your mid-20s, maybe, Andy, you still like to do this, but 30 out 37 in my last car accident, got a pretty good hit on my strength in my left leg. So, yeah, no, I don't miss those days. Seriously, don't miss those days. You're still young, yeah. Yeah, you're gonna get old and grumpy like I am. I do find the HG96 to be confusing, and the insane amount of blue marks on it make it hard to navigate. Yeah, okay. I saw it. I didn't play much with it. I had a really good conversation with Bubba on the channel. If you guys didn't see that video, go check it out. But yeah, really fun. Really fun console to play with. But yeah, I get why it's confusing for some people. Everything is blue. It's not like this one right here where you have, all your, or should I do this? All your color, everything is different color. The auxes are different color. You cannot choose them, but they are good. Speaking of choosing something, I didn't go over the layout of the console. once you did your patch, like I did, let's go over this again. Just under that, on a physical interface here, this is how you navigate that thing, by the way. It's the wheel, and left click, right click, and you can access to all your stuff pretty much here. If you go input, you're gonna have your input list, and much like on the Wing, you need to write down what your channel are. It doesn't work with source. Could be a fun addition if anybody wants to do a homemade version of a firmware upgrade where you can assign the source on this thing. But you want to realize something funny, and I forgot about that. It's a clipboard. Do you guys remember what clipboard is to do your patch? You can see that little, they had fun. They designed that here. It's not just a window. It's a clipboard. And you can change basically the name of all your channel. I do not have a keyboard connected to it right now because this is not in its case. It's just sitting on the table that I'm using for my Wing usually. So I didn't bring the keyboard. And this is where you would write down some stuff on your channel. Oh, actually, you have some pre-written one. I didn't know you had that. Okay, let's say my first one would be kick. Do we have a kick? Yeah, we have a kick. Okay, kick. You can write some stuff in there, and you can also change the color. Let's say I like that red. No, actually, you like my drum to being green. And what is this one? Oh, it's the channel. It's the channel. You can see the channel here if you click on that. But basically, this is it. You can just assign or name all your channel. This page is designed for the bigger consoles. You can see after 40 here, there was nothing for the last few. But this is the overall page for that. What else? What else is there to know about the Pro 1? Oh, the effect rack. Okay, let's go into the effect rack. The effect rack, I'm clicking again in the middle. If you click again on the effect rack, you have access to GEQ. I'm not a fan of using GEQ anymore. I'm actually prefer to use parametric. But back in the analog day, if you were lucky to have a rack full of these, you were really lucky. It was a good day for you. You could have all that Clark Technic EQ with a bunch of cool stuff. These are the IEM model with the low cut and high cut on channels. And you have, is it the Q? You have access to the, oh, that's a notch filter, if I remember correctly. And it's gonna cut down one frequency with a really tight Q. That's the low cut, that's the high cut, and yeah, you can see a little icon here. It's a notch filter, and you can turn that in or out. If you turn it in, the light goes on. If you turn it out, okay. Really nice. Those were basically the IN EQ available on those console, and you can change it by doing this. And by the way, if you guys stuck long enough here, I'm gonna tell you something. And I'm gonna do this after this live stream. Let's do a part 2 just for fun, okay? I'm gonna open up. Hold on, let me see you guys. Let's take a second here. It's been, you guys are really calm in the chat today. I want to hear you guys. When I tell you what the plan is for this console, because the screen here is a little bent. I'm gonna open it up and try to fix it, but also I want to try something that I believe has never been done, and I don't know how it's gonna work. I want to try, and I'm gonna get a hard time for this for sure. Yes. Yes, guys. Because I need to open up the screen, I'm going to take a look at the model number. I'm going to take a look at the dimension of the screen, and I'm going to try to make this a touch screen. I believe it would be fun if you were to open up an EQ. Oh, you guys can see it. But if you can open up an EQ and adjust it with your finger. I don't know how practical it would be because of the software, but I'm going to scavenge around eBay. This is a fairly low resolution screen. It's big. It's probably 17-inch, something like that. But if I can find an old replacement touchscreen for a laptop with those dimensions, and even if I need to solder physically myself a USB adapter for that USB to work, and probably hack into the drive to load some Linux driver for that, because this is running on Linux. Theoretically, it's possible. It's just a Linux distro. Yes, indeed. If anybody got any input on that, hi, my name is Guillaume, and I would like to do something really stupid. And I'm not going to get rid of that screen, so I'm going to try to fix it. I'm going to open up the console, because I need to open it up anyway. Right now it's bending in the middle. I'm going to try to reinforce that, because I don't want this screen to break. But if I can make it happen, if I can maybe hack the drive and put on some, I don't know, I'm going to open it up and see what's in there. I opened up my other one, my first Pro 2 that I bought, and in there is a just a regular M.2 drive, because I know I have one of the latest board that were put into these console. But if I can have access to the drive, and I believe it's nothing fancy here, it's not proprietary or solder on, I'm going to open that up, and I'm going to see if I can take the drive, copy the firmware, and keep it for myself, by the way. I don't want it to start into hacking into firmware, but I want to keep it for myself, and I'm going to try to see if I can first get a touchscreen to test that theoretically, because there is some USB in the back, and if you get a touchscreen that is working, you probably can interact with this thing, because a fairly good made or well-made touchscreen will pretty much work on that. I would need to try it before I'm going to spend any money, because it's probably going to cost $100 to get a screen for that. But if there's a way, if anybody know out there, if there's a way, I can try that. I'm willing to try. This is something that I would like to do. I wish I could get that working. And even if I don't get a right click, if I could just use my hand and my finger on that screen, because it's 2024, I'd be really happy. If you guys have any input, I'm gonna source out the parts number of this. I'm gonna measure out everything that I can, because I need to take it off anyway. And to take off the screen is fairly easy. There's a couple screws. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4. There's like 10 screws. They are Torx screws, but I have a Torx screwdriver. I think it's T5. I'm gonna take my trusty screwdriver, and I'm gonna have that open and see what's gonna happen with that. Check the version of Linux kernel you have. You can cross-reference the driver that exists. It should just recognize the as a mouse input. Yeah, there we go. Only single touch, theoretically. I don't mind a single touch. I would be fine with a single touch. Actually, the real problem is, I think it's going to be to find a screen that fits in there. I could go 3D printed. Yes, Ralph. If it was not clear, this is what I want to do. I want to open up before. I'm going to open it up to fix it. But before I spend any money on that, I want to try it with a touchscreen. I just don't know where to find one. I don't know anybody around me that has a touchscreen that is working. If I can find one with a touchscreen, if I can see something, or a used touchscreen, I'm probably going to try to buy that first and see if I can make it happen. Because in the back, like I said, I've already opened up my other one. I take a look at the screen, and it's just a regular laptop style connector. So there's probably somewhere an old laptop screen that are taking dust that is the right size for this and is touch. As long as I can get a fine resolution, I don't know what that is exactly, but it's not that, small or that big of a resolution. Pretty much sure that I can make that happen. And the screen is working for sure. The output, the console can take other resolution screen for sure. I'm using a DisplayPort in the back, and the display port is showing it to you guys like this. That's a screen, and I'm pretty sure that if you connect a mouse or a mouse, I never know how to say that one. If you connect a mouse in there, it's gonna work. You can work the regular mouse. You don't have to use the trackball. You can make it work. So there is no way that I cannot just have a touchscreen here, even if it's a single touch. I'm fine with that. But if I could have the world first Pro 1 with a touchscreen, and I can find the part number for that, probably gonna make it happen. Probably gonna do it just on my 2 or 3 consoles. I'm probably gonna keep the screen that I have, or if anybody is really in trouble out there and need a screen, maybe I can sell one if I have that working. But yeah, maybe a touchscreen Pro 1. I'm pretty sure you can get those screens for fairly cheap now, because they are. Is it a 1-to-1 ratio or a 4:3 ratio? I think it's a 4:3 ratio. Anyway, I'm gonna see if I can make it happen, and I'm gonna keep you guys posted about that. But yes, if anybody in my area is owner of a touchscreen that doesn't mind loaning me for a day, or actually for 5 minutes, as long as I prove the concept. If you want to come over, have a coffee, and see it with me, yeah, I can try to do this, and I can try to search for that. If anybody is interested to help with that, make sure to send me an email in the description down below. It will be really fun if we can have some fun with this, and maybe make this console relevant again. Imagine if you can have a touchscreen on this. Imagine if people start looking for Pro 1 out there and turn them into touchscreen console. Because it's a dead platform. Right now, as we speak, it's a dead platform. There is no more software update. I don't even know if there's support anymore for these console. And I don't know if there is parts still available for these console. If anybody know the answer, also drop me an email down below. It would be fun to know if I can get a power supply, if mine just die, because this is probably something that I want to keep around, just buying an extra power supply, because that's the only thing that I heard people complaining about that is broken, is a broken power supply. It's probably the same that we have with the Pro 2, and those are really easy to remove. So I don't know, man. I don't know if it's a regular computer power supply. Maybe I can just buy a 450 watt regular power supply out there. It's probably, I'm gonna take a look at that while I'm doing that screen test. Anyway, so is it gonna be it for today? Probably not. Let's go over some effects quickly. This is where we were. Let me do this, and oh, am I gone? Hold on. There we go. I'm back. Let's take a look at the effect that we have in here. Some people will remember this from the Wing. It's actually the other way around. This thing was popular on the Pro Series, and I'm talking about the Reverb here. That is the VSS4. It's going to eat up a lot of processing because it's eating up 3 space. The amount of processing needed for that reverb to work is really CPU taxing or DSP taxing, say it however you want. But it's a great sounding reverb. I can probably patch it and show you guys how it sounds. But before that, we're going to select some other effect. One thing that I love to have, and I know I'm going to get a lot of fuss about that, is when you go into the other, you go, Midas Spectrum Analyzer. I know. I'm loving that thing. I'm loving to have Spectrum Analyzer on my channels. Some people don't. I do. I like to have my RTA here. I love to use my here, but sometimes when you have subharmonics, you know, you have 3 frequencies, you have a main one and you have 2 on the side. Sometimes you wonder, where's that coming from? And you, okay, there you go. And you can confirm what you're hearing through visuals. I try to not mix with my eyes ever, but sometimes you go like, what is this doing? Why is there's like so much low end on that input? And even if it's it's on a low cut and you don't hear it, you can go like, why is it? Okay, that guitar amp is right next to the bass amp or right next to the bass drum, so this is why I'm getting like a bunch of energy going in the low cut area, and I don't hear it, but there's something wrong. So sometimes it's a cool tool to have. If you don't like to use it, if you don't like to use RTA and you prefer to use your ear, because back in the analog day you didn't have any RTA, well, just do it. No, don't use that. Use more effect. Something else that I like to have on all my mixes is a delay. We're gonna use delay, and not much option here. I'm just gonna go here, delay. Fine. We're going to use global tempo here, and that global tempo is knob right there on the console. It's working BPM. It's also working millisecond, I believe, is it? No, it's just BPM. I'm fine with that. I'm always using tap tempo, and again, for the old purists out there that used to know that is how many milliseconds, more power to you. I don't need to do that. I'm just going to use my tap tempo and focus on other things. Reverb. Other reverb that I like to use is the plate reverb. I'm not convinced. Guys, if you have any other option for reverb, if you guys know your way around that, I never kind of know what to use as a second reverb for the Pro series. Maybe Hall, but I already have a Hall in there. Plate. Vintage Room reverb. The Vintage Room is the one that we have on the. Yeah, I like the plate. But I don't know why this one is. I don't know. I'm never really happy at the beginning with this one, and I always end up like running around looking for preset. I'm a fan of the blue plate, but the blue plate from the X32 and the Wing, and actually it's the Lexicon effect, but I don't believe this is made out of the Lexicon, right? So I don't know why this one is fine, but I've never been like all amazed by it. Yeah, I try to avoid EQ my reverb a lot. I'm gonna try to change the reverb if I need to really EQ it too much. But anyway, this will be a typical way to use my reverb. And let me check out something. I never done this before, but maybe you guys can help me out on this. Could you? And we're gonna experiment here. Could you do like on the Wing and use a aux or a bus to main out with the reverb as insert and use your aux for something else? Can you do that? Let's go. Not here. I want my aux. Okay, that's aux in. Let's go. I want to use my matrix for that. I'm gonna use matrix 8. Gotta move the coffee for now. I'm gonna use matrix 7 and 8, so that's gonna be nope, not here. This one right here. I'm gonna use them as a stereo. So matrix 7 stereo. Can I use an insert? And actually, I cannot send a matrix to main because it's after, theoretically, right? Let's see. 15 and 16. Can you send that to main? Yes, you can. I can do that stereo. And insert. Okay, let's take a look at the patch and see if I can create an insert out of this. So, insert send will be aux 15 and 16. And I want that into, let's go the VSS here, and I want that here, And I'm gonna go effect out into my insert return of 16 left and right. 15, 16 left and right. You guys get the idea. Okay. I create an insert. Now let's take a look at this. If I go here, okay. If I enable the insert and if I raise these fader, you guys can see that? Yeah, okay. I raise the fader. It's assigned to the main out. Now let's take, actually, go input 1. I didn't show you guys something that is really cool. That is really cool to me, not to you guys. This is my HS55. Let me turn that microphone off. Hey. And we're going to use that one, right? Let's have fun with my HS55. This one definitely been through some rough time, but I like it. And I probably have some weirdo EQ happening here, right? Yeah, okay. I'm going to bring that back to normal. It's probably going to sound better if I'm not boosting a lot of stuff. So, okay, it sounds more like it now, right? Can we get some compression going? Always fun to have some compression. Oh, there we go. Some compression's going. Let's lower the threshold a little bit. All right, now we are in the zone for EQ and compression. Well, AQ, I can EQ it out much, but let's not go that route. Let's take... Okay. If you ever work on a Pro Tool, and you guys cannot see this, I cannot move that away. Okay. I'm going to show it on the upper range because I did a stereo aux. My first knob here is centered, and that's going to act as a pan for my left and right. And after that, under it, you will have your amount of send to that stereo bus. I'm going to bring that down. And now, just for fun, I'm going to try to raise that up and see if we can do an insert. Yes, we did an insert of that effect on the channel. I wish I could move. Okay. Actually, can I? Can I move myself out of the way? I believe so. Give me 1 second, guys. It's so small and so far away. There you go. I can probably do this. There you go. Now, HS55 going into that reverb, and I can adjust that. Yes, we do have reverb. Now the question is it pre or post fader? If I'm muting this, mute, it's muting. But the the fader do affect the send and return as I'm raising that up and down. It's going out. Actually, let me send out really loud to that reverb. And the only thing that I would love to have is the mute to be before the effect, but it's muting pre. Let's see if we can change that. I'm gonna go here. In my config, what are the options that you have? I can enable the EQ if I want to, and I can hold on. I can do this. That's my aux. That's good. That's my EQ. That's good. No compression. No. Oh yes, there is compression on the bus. It's on the other auxes that there is no compression. No gate. But what are the options that we have here? You can have okay. I can have the processing order if I want to have my EQ before my insert in my dynamic, which is the way that I like to work with my consoles. I like to EQ out, having my insert if needed in after my dynamics. But yeah, that's the option that we have available here. I cannot mute. after or before the delay. Let's see if I try to do this into a VCA, because the console has 8 VCA. Let's see if I can assign that aux into a VCA. Can I just click on this? No, you need to go. Yeah, a VCA is a different thing on this console. Let's go VCA 8. And if I'm doing this, no. If I'm doing this and I want to have my aux send 15 add. Okay, it's already had it. So, okay, let's see. Now I have a VCA. I built myself a VCA and I'm in the way of that VCA. Let me move back again to the corner here. Now I have a VCA, and on that VCA, I have my reverb. And if I'm changing that, and if I'm moving up or down the fader, it's going to affect the amount of stuff going in there. But if I mute, it's not affecting, or it's not muting before the effect. Because the reason you want to do that, you want to mute after the effect, is if you have any reverb tail going out, you just mute the input of the effect, so whatever that you add going into that reverb is going to slowly fade out. But no. If you're really unique channel over 40 and you need to use your stereo return for your aux channel that are in the bottom there, just right there, if you need to have them use for other stuff, then this is something you will have to live with, not having your reverb being post. You can just take a DCA and write the DCA. It's going to do the same thing, because the DCA will set the amount that you're sending into that reverb or not, or the aux. It will increment the amount of stuff that you're sending in there, but this is something that you will have to live with. Yeah, basically. Okay, something else that I need to talk about, and I'm going to switch mic. Can you guys hear me? Yes. Something else that I would like to point out about this console that is amazing is something that is called Pop Group. We almost touched on it when we talk about VCAs. If you select your VCAs in the bottom, you have your VCA, and next to it you have Pop Group. If you guys saw what I did, I clicked the little knob here. Click on that, and you can create some groups of channel. A pop group that you can see over there, just over the DCA, is pretty much the same thing as a DCA, but with no fader. Why would you use that? That's the question. Pop groups are there to take a bunch of fader, put them together, and when you enable that pop group, they're gonna populate the console in front of you with those channel. So let's say that you're doing a drum on 8 input, and you want to assign all your drums into a pop group to access them quickly. You just go select all your drums, enter a pop group. Guys, I know I'm far. Hold on. It's the same color, but I'm guessing you're gonna see it. If I press the pop group, which is the knob here on top of the VCA, if you guys saw what I did there, I took all my channel 1 through 8 and assigned them into that pop group 1. The cool thing about the Pro 1 and the Pro series is if you have a channel, let's say that you're adding up at the end of your patch. Let's say that the drummer, I'm gonna bring a snare too, and everything is already patched, and you know, your drum is already there. You need to have another input at the last minute, and you want to have that input into your drum. You add that input 48 into your pop group for your drum. And if you want to access that, once you put that channel into that pop group, you don't need to remember where it is. If you enable your pop group, it's going to show you, and I'm going to use that extend button here. The extend button is there to show you the amount of channel that you have in front of you. I'm using pop group 2. There is nothing. As you can see, the lights are off on the console. If I go to pop 1, if I have 8 or more input, they will be displayed here. Actually, I have aux 14 for some reason that is populated in here. If I have my drums, I can have my drums. I can have my other extra input over here. As soon as you enable that pop group, it's going to show you whatever you have in that pop group in front of you. Patrick, merci beaucoup d'avoir été là avec nous. Thank you very much for being with us today. Have a good one. Guys, 2 thanks Patrick for his devotion to this channel. Please go check out his website, x32ram.com, x32ram.com. He's got some really cool software for the X32, the wing, a lot of automation stuff, a lot of stuff that work with Reaper. Please go check out his website and maybe buy him a software or 2. He's been a really helpful person around the channel. He's helped me out with a lot of stuff with the wing, so please go check out his website. You really deserve the support that you guys can give to him. Merci beaucoup, Patrick. Moving on, basically pop group is that you just take a bunch of stuff and you assign them together, and they are just a single knob away. So you just press that pop, and you have, let's say, all your vocal. They could be all over the patch. They could be not in bank of hate. If you take all your vocal, put them together in a pop group, and you enable that pop, they're gonna pop right in front of you. It's really useful on smaller, on console with smaller amount of fader like we're having here. The Pro 2 has another row of fader, and that can be helpful. But Pro 1, really small, really cute console. Fits in the back of my car, and I'm running a smart car, so just to give you guys an idea. But seriously, no, really cool feature to have on these consoles. This is not a feature on the wing. It's like DCA spill exactly. For those of you who work with X32 and DCA spill, actually DCA spill is a thing on the Pro Series. It's going to be exactly the same thing. If you have your DCA on and VCA, if you have your VCA on the console and you click them, it's going to display whatever you have in here. So yeah, pretty much it. About the touchscreen, the cheapest are the external touchscreen for the Raspberry Pi HDMI though. Are they that big? Because that's the thing. I want to have a screen that's gonna fit at least covering up much of the hole that we have here. If I don't mind designing another, border, but yeah, it's like 5-inch. That's what I thought. No, I want something that is more like closer to 17. I don't exactly know what the size is for the Pro 1. It's a really hard information to get online. People that got parts for those console are being really captive about displaying info. But just for testing, Ralph, I'm gonna find a regular monitor, a regular touchscreen monitor. I'm pretty sure I can find that on my local Facebook ads for a couple $, and if I bought it used for a certain price, I can probably sell it back for the same price that I paid. So that's probably going to be the route that I will go. But yeah, that's pretty much it for that. Yeah. Anything else that you guys want to know about these consoles? Because seriously, we almost touch it. There is not much. There is a lot of depth to it, but there's not much more that you need to do to get a band rocking and rolling with that thing. Maybe I can show the effect another day, because this is going to be a process by itself. But yeah, I think I'm gonna stop it here for now. A lot of people showed up today. Really appreciate that every single one of you showed up. Make sure to first subscribe to the channel if you're not. It's going to be a really big help for me. Keep growing that thing. We reached over the 5,000 mark a couple weeks ago, and I'm still growing. So thank you very much, guys, for coming up, showing up here every week. For those of you who watched the last stream, and if you guys are watching my video too, really appreciate that. I'm gonna working on some stuff. Actually, I'm working on in-ear monitor right now. I got a cool deal from Temu, the website Temu, and they send me out some really, really cool KZ earphone. I need to actually take a nap and go do a video about these. I need to review or to do a listening test for all these 6 pair of headphones that they send me. All from different price point, all from $10 up to almost $100. So let's see. And in that video, if you guys are still here, I'm gonna give you a pair of free KZ headphone. Which are the, actually it's these ones right there, the EDX Pro. Can you guys see that if I'm doing this? Yeah, the EDX Pro. Temu is gonna give out a pair of these headphones to everybody who's watching my video. Enter my code and download the Temu app. Temu. I'm always confusing about how to say that. Temu. Temu. If you watch my video, it's gonna be released soon, and you enter the code, it's gonna give you a pair of free headphone. So it's worth watching at least for the first minute and a half until you reach to that. And after that, keep watching, because there's going to be some really cool information if they worth the free money or not. But I believe they will worth their price if you got them for free. Anyway, yeah, this is pretty much it for now. So I did the first stream on a Pro 1. I don't know if I'm going to keep it here or not. It may go back upstairs. The wing probably going to go back here to do some stuff with the in-ears, but definitely something that you guys should be on the lookout for. On that note, thank you very much for being here with me. Next week is going to be a live stream, probably half English, half French. I wanted to do it in French. I know I have a lot of requests, so I'm going to announce it really early. I think I'm going to announce it now, actually, on the French forum. Just doing a post. I'm going to prepare that for next week. And guys, stick around. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, because I may do another stream today or tomorrow, where, actually not tomorrow, because I got a really huge event that's going to take my whole morning and afternoon. But be on the lookout for a random live stream where I'm going to open up the screen. I'm going to do it on the stream. I'm going to open up the console, take a look at the screen, at least fixing that one, make sure that it's going to be sticking in place. And after that, we'll see. Maybe I will find some touchscreen to replace the one that we have in here. On that note, now it's time for me to go. Thank you very much, everybody who showed up today. I hope you guys have a good week. I'm going to see you next Monday. And I want you, please, to take care of yourself. And I will see you guys next week. And now, I got no button, so I have to reach down for my keyboard to run the outro.